back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and this is a breakdown for the trailer from Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts, Asterisk. This trailer, or should I say special look, was shown at D23 Brazil and absolutely answers who's taken over Avengers Tower. It also answers where these dingbats have been since their last appearances and gives new light on maybe Sentry being the bad guy. Let's break down this trailer frame by frame to look at all the details you might have missed. But before we get started, just a quick reminder to check out nerdriot.shop for the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. In honor of the Thunderbolts, we have a new shirt featuring the Red Guardian. There's also some new Red Hulk inspired merch on the site, as well as other stuff inspired by some of your favorite fandoms. Support the channel and check out nerdriot.shop. Go get yourself something nice. Okay, let's get into the breakdown. We open the special look with a scene that we've seen a few times. Yelena, Alexi, Ghost, and John, I feel so weird calling him by his first name, US agent, travel through the desert. According to the Salt Lake Tribune, this and the car chase scene were shot around Emory, Utah, because Marvel loves using these wide open spaces for these kinds of scenes because it's incredible new landscapes just blow things up in. This was also around the time the working title was Oops, All Berries, a reference to Captain Crunch's cereal that has no Captain Crunch pieces and only the berry flavored pieces because it's like the movies, all villains, no superhero storyline. Alexi talks Yelena's ear off about the American landscapes, noting Oklahoma is just so flat, really coming for Echo's home right there. But it also reminds us that Alexi's past as an undercover agent. His undercover work in America wasn't cut short by pretending to be a family. His work stretched across different regions and countries. They're driving in this beat up car. It's hard to see now, but a little later in the trailer we get a clearer view of the car's ad-like promo. It reads, Red Guardian Limo Service, protecting you from boring evening. And I love that you can still hear his accent in the writing. You could also see this car in the first teaser trailer parked at Alexi's new house. It looks like Alexi was currently or at one point posing or actually working as a limousine chauffeur, which can now be labeled as a trend for retired superheroes in Marvel. Logan was also a limo chauffeur in 2017's Logan movie in Texas. It feels like they force you to be that in your next career after heroism. The limo is traveling at a slow speed as the three large US Army trucks convoy behind it. I assume they're escaping the bunker fight scene in this secret mountaintop lair, which I'll return to later in this breakdown. I promise, just hold on. Alexi's car's MP, aka motive power, for those that don't know vehicles, is reading 43. According to the odometer, the limo is at 98,000 miles. If the build, immense number of warning malfunction lights, and grime on the car weren't enough to tell you it's a beat up car, this car needs some lotion. The US Army trucks are closing in as the chase pursues, and Alexi retaliates with the limo's disguised defense weapons. He flips the switch and oh baby, Pony by Genuine starts to play with a fog machine. But Alexi is the chauffeur, so is he seducing people from the front seat? I don't know, and I don't want to find out. Ghost senses the bullets before they commence, and I hadn't recognized her doing this before in the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, but in the fight sequences in this trailer, she's become a much more tactical fighter, able to phase through oncoming bullets or knives and react to it. Yelena shoots at the armored vehicle using her Glock 43. These are the guns Black Widow's trained with in the Red Room. Then the truck explodes from the bottom, swerving off the road, and to our surprise, it's Bucky pulling up, serving nothing but Terminator. I also like that Alexi is like so cool when he sees Bucky, referring to him as the Winter Soldier. After a really lengthy conversation at work, the Winter Soldier, we kind of like deduced, the program was a Soviet program, so Bucky had Soviet citizenship, but was only ever part of this program. The two are Soviet super soldiers assigned to missions in the United States, so though we don't really see them interact that much, I'm sure he's heard of Bucky. Maybe not Bucky hearing of him because, you know, he was a sleeper agent, but he's definitely heard of Bucky. He's wielding the same grenade launcher he also used on Nick Fury and Captain America the Winter Soldier. This dummy, operating the shotgun, sticks it out the window, to which Bucky quickly takes it easily, shoots the tow cable hook, and pulls on his brakes so aggressively he's skirting on his front wheel. He grabs the tow cable and whips it around his arm like Go-Go with her meteor hammer around Uma Thurman's throat, then smashing it into the cement with his vibranium arm, thus forcing the truck to flip over. And Alexi's premature cheering, Bucky points the gun at their limo and with the grenade launcher immediately tosses them off the road. Eric mentioned this in his breakdown that Bucky firing any kind of deadly attack at any other person is just not something Bucky would do post Infinity War, Endgame, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And Diane Ramirez on Twitter pointed out that Bucky is otherwise right-handed, which in Falcon and the Winter Soldier seemed to be his way of showing human restraint. Now he's back to his Winter Soldier era left hand, so something's clearly up with Bucky. Maybe he's back to being evil. No, I'm joking, he's never gonna be evil again. We get the flash of a new black and yellow Marvel Studio logo, and I assume it's to highlight our latest superhero or super person, Sentry, as a reflection of his comic black and yellow suit, but also a reflection of their name, the Thunderbolts. We then see the gang in an elevator that Marvel has been playing up for some time. This scene initially was removed from Marvel's 85th anniversary footage because it tells you who might own Avengers Tower.
How crazy is it to think of all the monumental fights that happened exactly here where you're standing? I mean, the place wasn't cheap, but it's got good optics.
As everyone knows, this answers the unanswered or neglected storyline of who owns Avengers Tower, and drumroll please. It looks like it's Valentina. She has ownership now, with her fresh new white stripe looking like Vanessa. We last saw Val in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, where she was revealed now to be the director of the CIA in 616, as well as the ex-wife to colonizer Everett Ross. Assuming she's still the director of the CIA, does that mean the US government bought Avengers Tower, or is Val just going off the grid with this one? Either way, what better way to show off your new version of the Temu Avengers than by debuting them out of the once highly regarded Avengers Tower? The tower has so many treasured memories, and yes, the monumental fights, as Val mentions, that happen right here, leaving a lasting impression on all of us, like the battle between Loki and Hulk and everyone versus Ultron. The Thunderbolts are even using the same elevator the Avengers used after they captured Loki. Well, not all of the Avengers, as you might remember.
Stop.
This is also why I think there's an asterisk in the Thunderbolt name. They're the Temu version of the Avengers, and you can use the asterisk to confirm a new correction. But everyone here thinks that I'm crazy, and I might be am. The limited furnishing and boxes tell you this is a new purchase or a new move-in. It has changed, but the bar's frame is made from the same material as the old walls, and you can see it best in the first Avengers movie. Behind the team, Alexei gawks at something like a statue behind glass boxes. In the first trailer, we actually see that they're at a gala commemorating the Battle of New York with different pieces from that war. We see Loki's scepter, but this one looks like what Eric suggested as the Chitauri blaster. Yelena tells Valentina to eat poop. That was a nice way of what she says in the trailer. Yelena's always been very sarcastic and cynical about most things, but her relationship with Valentina has been rocky since she took the mission to take out Clint and Hawkeye. Still, instead of turning away, Yelena continues her unenthusiastic attitude and relationship with Valentina, so the group is probably forced to be here. We then get Yelena's title card as she's falling off the Merdeka 118, one of the tallest buildings in the world, specifically in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where the next few sequences also occur. The song playing right now when she launches herself off the roof is Possum Kingdom by the Toadies. It's not so different from the last great trailer song, Where's My Mind by the Pixies. This alt-rock song was released in 1994, and they did a great job of following the movements on screen with the song's beat. Additionally, this is an excellent song for the Thunderbolts because, like Where Is My Mind, it's a song of confusion, but this one is telling you to shit or get off the pot. Yes, you're confused, stuck between a rock and a hard place. However, you gotta make up your mind. I'm sure each Thunderbolt has been forced to do this because they come from unsuperhero-like backgrounds, so where do they see themselves? But also, what do they want? They need to figure it out. Yelena's now outside on the phone holding a little guinea pig. In this scene, she's wearing the Black Widow bites, which deliver a super powerful electric discharge. We've seen some of the Black Widows wear it. We saw this scene in the last trailer as well. Eric noted that you can see the explosion, but the windows don't really shatter until well after the explosion already hit. In that first trailer, we see that Yelena's going toe-to-toe with the scientist, which is where I'm sure she got the guinea pig in the first place. It was probably a test rodent that she felt really bad for and took out of there. Then we cut to Bucky headbutting one of the many special ops. Bucky, US Agent Yelena, Red Guardian, and Ghost are all in this room, but there is no Taskmaster, who is weirdly missing in a lot of these trailer snippets. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. The holidays are a time for family to come together, and depending on your family dynamic, that could dredge up some stuff you might need help processing. Therapy can help with that, and if you need help getting started with therapy, BetterHelp is here to help. BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy easier. It's a platform where therapists and their clients can communicate effectively so you can get the most out of therapy. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is there to help you if you have any questions. Just fill out the questionnaire and you will match with a therapist in as little as a couple days. If the first therapist doesn't feel like a right fit, you can easily switch to another one until you find someone you really connect with. BetterHelp also provides a journal for personal reflection, plus group sessions for a variety of topics are available every day. Users love BetterHelp. They have over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot. If you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/newrockstars and get 10% off your first month of therapy. I'm sure this scene is the same sequence as this shot of the US agent and Yelena taking out the ops. The truck is the same one that Alexei and Bucky drove later in the trailer, which crashed through the glass. These sequences are all so cut out of order in the trailer, but all cater to the same scene. We see US agent who smashes this man up against the truck, and you can see it has a New York license plate. The number on the side of the truck has a 718 area code, which covers the boroughs of Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and the Bronx. However, Avengers Tower is famous for its location on Park Avenue in Manhattan. This fight could be at or around that tower, seeing as the building tops where the helicopters are crashing are similar to the roofs near Grand Central Terminal, and when Bucky flips this car, the building signage says Park Avenue, the same street as Avengers Tower. Only a theory, but that fight could lead to the top of the Avengers Tower where they meet Valentina and have another version of a standoff. This would answer why Taskmaster isn't part of the caravan in the desert or appearing here during the fight in New York and in Avengers Tower with Val. She could have died escaping what I think is the Watchtower, which again, I'll get into soon, hold on to it. We get Bucky's title card as he clips his arm into place, then we're in the truck with Bucky and Red Guardian, which is reminiscent of the two in the What if trailer. We can expect to see young versions of the two super soldiers, and I just can't wait. The two talk about their versions of the super soldier serum that they both have, which is funny because I never really thought about the different types and how they all need to just sit in one giant therapy-like meeting and talk about their horrible drug days. I won't get too much into it because some of you may already know this, but the MCU has a ton of super soldiers, an illegal amount, and throughout the years, different people have made their own versions of the serum, hoping to create their own Captain America or some other version of a very strong human being. So we got the famous old Steve Rogers serum that's made by Abraham Erskine, Bucky on that Hydra serum in 1943, Isaiah Bradley's got the recreated serum from the 50s used by the US Army during the Korean War, Alexi's serum was made for the Soviet armed forces during the Cold War, then there's John Walker, who injected himself with Nagel's serum and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Variant types of the serum have variant successes, which is why Alexi noted Bucky's Hydra serum as the fancy one. Alexi would know of Hydra because his original mission back in Black Widow was to go undercover in Ohio and infiltrate the North Institute, which was a front for S.H.I.E.L.D., which Hydra greatly infiltrated. Also, the pig named Alexi was mind controlled by Rachel Weisz's character, who stole the research from Hydra. So Alexi, I assume, recognizes Hydra as that place they're always trying to steal from or learn from because they're kind of superior. But I know that they probably cross paths. He knows who Hydra is, he knows who the Winter Soldier is, even if they don't know who he is. We then jump to Alexi's title page, still yellow, and this scene shows him in his dirty apartment just chilling. The next scene is so funny to me because Valentina doesn't even know who this man is, calling him an old Santa because of his red suit and features. This is even more amusing seeing as Red Guardian actor David Harbour played another very complicated father, doubling as Santa in Violent Night. The joke transcends movie universes. We then get John Walker's title page right when Yelena narrates everyone here has done bad things, reminding us again that John Walker publicly killed a flag smasher with the Captain America shield in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and has gone on as a disgrace, almost tarnishing the name Captain America. He glances at his new gun, different from the perfect 10 he had in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which Steve Rogers also wielded during World War II. New team, new shield, new gun, I think, just getting a feel for the latest gadgets. I already spoke on this scene, but he's still beating people up with that shield. This is his new shield featured on the Thunderbolts poster with a million scratches on it, maybe made of a new material other than vibranium or adamantium, because adamantium will come up in Brave New World. We then get a little title card for Ghost, who, yes, is wearing a new look. Now with a black costume and white mask, it's drastically different from her last suit in Ant-Man and the Wasp. During this scene of the trailer, Yelena offers a narration again, this time saying Shadow Ops. This could answer where and what Ghost has been up to since Ant-Man 2. Then comes Taskmaster, who also has a new suit since Black Widow and wears a white skull-shaped mask, and I love it. She's still wielding her shield, and we don't know if it's been upgraded, but we saw this shield in Black Widow. She also still has that blade. During this scene of the trailer, Yelena again offers her narration saying contract kills. This, like Ghost, could infer what the hell Taskmaster's been up to since becoming coherent, or so I imagine, in Black Widow. This then takes us to the Spiral Mountain, where someone's home or station is at the top. We'll return to this mountain shortly. It connects to everything that I've been saying. Hold on for a minute, but I promise we'll get to it, and it's coming right up. Then John Walker names Yelena as the former Red Room assassin, to which I say, slow down, Savannah. Taskmaster's father straight up owned it, and I ain't seen anyone punching her down for being brainwashed. The scene cuts from taking jabs at one another to immediate brawl, and as you can see in the back, it's Taskmaster versus Ghost and John versus Yelena. As their fights throw them across different areas of the room, out steps little Sentry, aka Bob. We don't see it in the trailer, but the last trailer showed a ton of hidden details about Sentry in this location. One was the paperwork, which upon zooming and enhancing showed different versions or schematics of Sentry. There's alternate sigils, haircuts, hair colors, and the bar graphs on what I assume are fan favorites, like they're building the most iconic superhero. On the left are blueprints for the Watchtower, Sentry's home and headquarters in the comics. It's also located in New York, precisely the exact same location as Avengers Tower. Now, this is when it gets insane and a little bit clumsy. In the comics, Sentry uses powers to make everyone on Earth forget he existed. As part of that command, the Watchtower had also disappeared and been ignored. So then Tony Stark comes along, creating Stark Tower, but Sentry's powers prevented anyone from seeing the Watchtower right there in front of them. So the two buildings were built basically like upon one another or just inside one another. It's two in the same building. So this could be inside Avengers Tower like in the comics. However, I don't think it'll be as cartoony as the comics depict. I think it's actually the Spiral Mountain in the desert because one, they want Sentry off the records, and in the middle of Utah is far enough that no one will find him. And two, if anything backfires, they're in the desert. They can blame it on government testing or something. This would also explain why we get scenes like this next one where we see Sentry, aka Bob, standing before a firing squad. The floodlights in the back and the vehicles remind me when they originally found Mjolnir near, so I assume this area is where they monitor Bob, whose body is also impenetrable by bullets. We see a scene later in the trailer that looks like it's from the angle of where Bob is standing, so all these scenes in the basement with monitoring stations in the desert, I assume are all in the same place. Then we see these men that look to be dressed like the men in New York that US agent is taking out. That's during the day though, so I'm guessing the search for Sentry or the hunt for Sentry goes through the night. The room with all the information on Sentry then goes up in flames, and you can see the vents shooting out those flames. Luckily, Taskmaster is there to hold the door open, or perhaps she's holding on to something to protect herself from the blast. In the last teaser, we saw that the door shut on the team inside before changing to red lights and giving them a 1-minute countdown. They noted that they were each sent there, and a piece of me believed they were all sent to infiltrate and grab Sentry, but if that's the case, why put a 1-minute timer there? Maybe a test? Probably just for dramatics. This next scene looks like a room to monitor someone or something. Someone's working in the background, but on the computer it seems like the optics to someone's heart. But where the superior vena cava would typically be, and trust, I looked up those words, I'm no doctor, that has been severed or reconstructed. The woman looking on is Val's new assistant, played by Geraldine Viswanathan. She replaced Ayo Edebiri in this role, and I forgot to mention that Steven Yeun was initially cast as Sentry, but that was later replaced by Louis Pullman as well. There's been 2 recasts. We get a shot that we saw last in the trailer that I love just so much, I have to point it out. This scene with Yelena running through the snow, meeting a wall, and the camera shifting horizontally to show she's falling onto the table with the girl seated at that table. It feels like when Natasha would get visions or retellings of the Red Room, so this sequence might be something like Yelena's PTSD or some forced induced fever dream Val uses to keep them all in line. We get more glimpses of the throwdown in New York with a Jeep labeled for construction business crashing into the local news van. These sequences with the fight scenes are missing Sentry, which is why I think everything happening might be a little bit of Sentry's fault. All these cars are losing control and the helicopters are crashing due to his powers. Sentry's appearance in the comics was kind of insane, and maybe you, like me, didn't really know who Sentry was, so I looked into Marvel's database, of course. Sentry was introduced in a comic of his name, Sentry #1 in 2000 by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. Essentially, after the Super Soldier Serum was released, they wanted to make an even stronger Super Soldier, and while looking for something else, Robert Reynolds consumed the Sentry Serum. Reynolds developed numerous abilities including a genius intellect, Hulk-like super strength, faster than light speed, and molecule manipulating powers that made him one of the strongest beings in the universe. To me, he personally just feels like Molecule Man meets Star Fox, but that's how I see him. I assume those abilities would and could temporarily and permanently send out an EMP, electric magnetic pulse, causing all electronics to stop working. This would cause traffic lights to stop, cars to choke, and helicopters to fall. I wouldn't be surprised if Sentry were made to be the version of Captain America for the Thunderbolts, but his powers are just too unstable. They tried to replace Captain America with US Agent, and he became too reckless, and Sam Wilson doesn't really listen or take commands well. Based on the graphs and the focus group papers on Sentry, I assume they're trying to build a super soldier that the people would love and that takes orders. Also, Bucky flips a car with his forearm. That's sick as hell. We return to the room where Ghost phases and catches this knife. This scene shown in the last trailer was actually like the coolest scene in the entire trailer. Yelena throws the knife at Ghost and the camera follows the knife as it's directed at Taskmaster, who deflects it with her shield at US Agent, who then tries to stab Yelena with it. I love a full circle camera following point of view moment like this. It just looks really great. We see Bucky fires a submachine gun and pistol together, and from the back of this shot, it looks like he might be in Avengers Tower. We end the trailer with Alexei recognizing the team as the Thunderbolts, to which they hate the name. Now, why the Thunderbolts? I assume they'd have this throwaway line like, out of respect of Thunderbolt Ross, or named after our president Thunderbolt Ross, but it looks like Alexei might have come up with the name on the spot. This might be a ridiculous little theory, but Thunderbolts also symbolize strength and overcoming, their ability to break through the darkness. That's literally this team of underdogs. They've all been through so much and now can be something more than their Suicide Squad. I also think there's something here about Sentry and like Thunderbolts. His color and sigil are all electricity. If he has some sort of planet destroying energy inside of him, and there's a possibility he did send out that EMP across New York, there's just probably something there between him and the Thunderbolts name being named after him. Maybe one and the same. The September teaser was shared with the tagline, "Careful who you assemble," and the official synopsis reads, Marvel Studios and a crew of indie veterans who sold out presents Thunderbolts, an irreverent team-up featuring depressed assassin Yelena Belova alongside the MCU's least anticipated band of misfits. So I think it's safe to assume each Thunderbolt will physically and emotionally find a new light in the MCU after this movie. Guardians was a good example of misfit underdog team-ups. Still, I've been asking for people in very similar situations to just talk it out like group therapy meeting, and I feel like that's the Thunderbolts. Guardians is trauma kind of bonded over Thanos, and Thunderbolts will trauma bond over digging themselves a shitty hole to get out of. Comment down below your thoughts on the latest teaser trailer or special look from D23. Follow me at Lulu_Clemons, subscribe to all 3 channels in the new Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.